Hey guys, this is Booligan with Airsoft Retreat, BooliganAirsoft.com and Airsoft Insider Magazine. Today, we're taking a look at the brand new ASG TAC6. You may recall I took a brief look at this gun during SHOT Show. We kind of went over one of the pre-production models, some of its features. And today we've got the production model in my hands, and we are going to take a detailed look at it. Now, there is one bit of aftermarket coolness on this right now, which is my Seymour style red dot sight. Mainly because I can't be bothered to take it off because I really like how it looks on there. It works really well, and the height is kind of perfect. What is the TAC6? The TAC6 is not a replica of a real firearm. You can get the TAC6 or the TAC4. The TAC4, I believe, is chambered in .177 metal BBs. That is not an airsoft gun. The TAC6 is chambered, obviously, in 6mm plastic BBs and is the airsoft replica. You have a large thumbhole style stock and a very familiar pistol style pistol grip here. The gun is powered by CO2 capsules, which are stored in this little hatch back here, little 12-gram CO2 capsule. And the magazine is a free dropping, clearly, stick type unit. They hold about 15 rounds. And they are pretty easy to feed. They've got a feeding hole and a little locking latch down here, so really easy to get these things fed. Pros and cons of this system. Cons are obviously, look at it, that's not very confidence inspiring. The pros are that it is actually super reliable and very, very, very inexpensive for these things. Plus you can carry a million of them. You've got a little thumb lever here for tightening your CO2 capsule, and thus far the gun has been operating perfectly with no leaks or misfeeds or anything of that sort. It's made entirely out of a high-strength polymer. It's got a rubber butt pad, a metal top rail, and a metal outer barrel. The thing is kind of ridiculously solid. There's no flex in it whatsoever. It uses a non-blowback firing system, which means when you pull the trigger, you have a long trigger pull, and then the gun shoots. It is therefore semi-automatic. Every time you pull the trigger, you get a shot. The iron sights are very, very nice. Front is, as you can see, an orange fiber optic unit. The rear is adjustable for windage and elevation using a flathead screw, and both of them are easily removable if you want to get rid of them altogether and maybe put them on a different gun. They are pretty much the same sights that you will find on the ASG Evo. Which is certainly something well outside of this gun's price range, which we'll talk about in a moment. The gun also comes with this bipod that, let's be honest, at first glance, it looks kind of cheap and chintzy and not very good. But the thing is actually surprisingly nice. I'd like a better retention system. To remove it, you squeeze these, and then it slides right off the rail. It's on there, it does have a little bit of wiggle, but surprisingly enough, it locks in place very well. It's got nice little adjustment feet that are able to spring back in. And the thing works really well. It's actually a nice little bipod. I tried it out on a couple of other guns and it works just fine. You've got good solid rubberized feet, and this whole main section here is made of metal, so it's very solid. The outer barrel is metal, terminated in this massive orange plastic flash hider. There's not a whole lot of inner barrel in this thing. The inner barrel, if you could see that, only goes to right here. And we'll talk about performance in a second and my thoughts on that. It's a good thing it doesn't have a much longer outer barrel because the velocity of this thing is already kind of outrageous. You've got just a very nice metal barrel here with some non-standard threads. And my thought is going to be to shorten it. We don't need all this extra barrel here. So I'm probably going to cut it down to about here and make this thing even more compact than it already is. Another interesting thing that this gun comes with, an integrated laser sight. It is a red dot sight red laser sight activated by pushing this little button here. I'll be able to see the wall behind me. It's not the brightest thing, but it works. And it is actually adjustable for windage and elevation using two very small screws, and is removable by pushing that button. See, nothing too crazy, but a surprisingly nice little add-in for this gun. Let's talk about performance in shooting this for a second. Again, you have a 15-round magazine, an integrated storage compartment for a 12-gram CO2 capsule, and this thing shoots hot. Very, very, very hot. In my testing using an ASG .20 gram BB, I was seeing velocities of 450 to 460 feet per second. That's really, really hot. And hey, a hot shooting gun could make a nice sniper platform if it had the long-range performance to back it up. Unfortunately, for reasons unbeknownst to me, ASG went ahead and built this gun with no hop-up. Again, it's not a fixed hop-up. There's no hop-up whatsoever. And that bugs me. It bugs me a lot. Because you have a gun that's shooting at 450 feet per second, which means, frankly, it's too hot for most use. So its only real practical use in stock form is going to be as a long-range DMR or sniper rifle. And it can't function in that regard. Most fields and most groups running a 450 FPS gun will require you to have somewhere around a 100-foot minimum engagement distance. And sure, this thing, I mean, it's got some barrel there, and shockingly, it actually does have some range. On my testing, I was putting it on torso-sized targets out to about 150, 160 feet. You just have to calculate the drop, much like a real gun, only much, much more exaggerated. So that's kind of the problem with this gun in stock form, is you really can't safely shoot at anybody closer than 100 feet, but you're not going to be able to shoot any further than about 150 feet. So you have a 50-foot useful distance there. For gaming purposes in stock form, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing a lot of practical uses for this gun in stock form. For skirmish uses. For plinking, for taking out cans in the backyard, for 50-foot target shooting, sure, the thing is great and is actually remarkably precise for that. This thing is an excellent backyard gun. However, again, for skirmish use in stock form, it's not jiving with me. Now, one of the things that we are going to do on this gun, this is going to be a project gun for us, and obviously we're going to shorten down that barrel because that's just going to look pretty damn cool. We're going to modify a few things, but we're going to try to install some sort of hop-up system in this. Probably going to be fixed because I'm not really seeing how I'll be able to do an adjustable system. Maybe. We'll see. Once I get this thing opened up, we'll take a look at it. But we'll see if we can get some more usable range out of it. In addition to that, I tested it, I don't have it on my dirty shelf behind me, with the PPS refillable CO2 capsule, which is a very nicely machined little capsule that you can fill with whatever gas you want. I filled it with some of Airsplat's green gas as well as propane. With Airsplat's green gas, I only got 130 feet per second. Using straight propane, I got about 150 feet per second. So that's a problem that I've seen with this PPS cylinder, is that it doesn't give the direct, the same results across the board that you would normally see it. In a wind gun revolver that shoots about 400, you get about 100 feet per second. It just drops it way more aggressively than it should. So we're going to try that out with maybe different gases. I'm going to be customizing that a little bit because I would love to get this thing shooting around 300 feet per second with some hop-up. Because with a short barrel, ditch the bipod. It's a cool bipod, but you don't need to ditch the laser because you don't need it either. Maybe even ditch this sight and just use iron sights. But like a futuristic scout rifle almost. It's small, it's lightweight, it's very easy to, toss it in a back scabbard or something like that. But if it had some useful range and had skirmishable performance, absolutely this thing could certainly, outperform my beloved scout rifle platform that I love here in a clearly more futuristic and just different and easier to use setup, especially considering it's semi-automatic. It'll shoot as quickly as you could pull the trigger. So this thing is going to be an ongoing project. My understanding though, and the biggest selling point of this, which also is a con in some ways, is its price point. This thing's only supposed to be around 100, 120 bucks is my understanding. It's supposed to be a very inexpensive gun, which creates a whole problem because inexpensive guns are generally picked up by beginners, and beginners probably shouldn't be using this gun. It shoots too hot. Velocity is very high, especially for beginners. And the pros aren't, the more advanced players aren't going to really want it either because it's going to have the stigma of being an inexpensive gun, plus the fact that it doesn't have any hop up. So I'm not going to sit here and defend the gun. That's not my job to do. But I will tell you the facts. Again, inexpensive, but very well made. Easy to shoot, but shoots too hot. Has interesting performance aspects. Has a high velocity, but low range due to there being no hop up. But overall, I mean, the build quality on it's astounding. It is very easy to use, and it comes with nice accessories. But I really think in stock form, ASG kind of missed the mark a little bit for it to be a skirmish gun in stock form. So for now, let's see what we can do with it. Let's see if we can make this thing a little bit more skirmish friendly, a little bit more gameplay friendly. But in the meantime, for obliterating cans in your backyard or targets, absolutely pick this thing up. It'll be a hoot and a half, and it's cheap to boot. Many thanks to ASG for sending this over, and again, we're going to have a full review as well as some follow-up videos and follow-up projects on this gun, both on Airsoft Retreat and on Booligan Airsoft, and of course here on my channel. So, as always, thanks for watching.